My name is Shanice Holmes, Teen Program Manager at Dancing Grounds. I am so honored and thrilled to introduce to you these next beautiful artists who are working heavily in the dance community in various ways. They are born and raised in New Orleans. They have connections with Alvin Ailey Studios, and I've had a pleasure to work with both of them individually. Let me introduce to you Rosalyn Sanders and Edward Spots.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ross. I am so excited to have this conversation with one of my colleagues from the Ailey organization, Edward Spots. I've heard so much about him, but now we get to meet face to face and kind of have this back and forth conversation. I do want to thank the New Orleans Film Festival for having us do this today, and also Dancing Grounds for this opportunity. So I do want to just jump right in. Edward, if you want to say hi.
Hi, Rosalyn Sanders. It's so great to finally meet you and get to know you through this process. Thank you, New Orleans Film Festival, for having us do this. This is so exciting to talk to someone about the Ailey organization because it's so amazing. I can't wait to ask you so many questions about your experience and how it impacted you. So I'm really excited to jump in, and thank you guys for having me.
Yay. Okay, so I think I'm going to start, if that's okay.
Yes,
with you, Edward. I am really interested about your dance training experience in NOLA. I know, well, New Orleans, Louisiana. We say NOLA here, but right. Just because we're from the same city and we grew up in the city during different times, I want to know what your experience in dance was.
Yeah, to not spend too much time giving my training, but I started at a charter school. I was in capoeira, which is a Brazilian martial arts, and then from there I was dating a girl in middle school, and she said, it was an elective of African modern dance from Mama Badaringwa, and she was like, we need boys to lift the girls, and from there I joined as a joke. Next thing you know, I'm at Jazz Festival performing, and I loved the idea of performing. And also I liked the idea of still moving my body without sparring, because in capoeira and martial arts, there's a lot of fighting versus just movement. And then from there, I joined ballet at Harvey Heisel's, Diane Carney's ballet studio magazine. And I remember seeing the sign and pronouncing it ballette. And then my mom was like, no, boy, it's ballet. And, getting in there and finally in this room with all these, bun heads and ballet dancers and being the only Black person in the room at the time, And then from there, I went to Northern Nova, which is the New Orleans Center Recreation Department. And I got all these free classes and started having modern dance with Miss Monique Moss and Cheryl Sullivan and Jenny Thompson and things like that, Suzanne Hirsch. And then from there at Northern Nova, I went to the Shramos. Gregory Shramo and Marjorie Hardwick were running a school at the time, and now they have a company, New Orleans Ballet Theater. And they really took me under their wing, and that was my first taste of like really high-end ballet dancers that came in with all this professional background. And so from there, with Northern Nova, the New Orleans Ballet Theater School, the Shramo Conservatory, and Harvey Heisel's New Orleans Dance Academy, and New Orleans Charter Middle School, the first charter school in New Orleans. And starting there, that's what propelled me to fall in love with dance, if not make it my passion, in New Orleans. And then from there, I went to Walnut Hill School for the Fine Arts in Boston, Massachusetts, which is a boarding school.
Gotcha. And then how did you get from New Orleans to New York City? I'm just going to throw that one in.
So after New Orleans, went to Walnut Hill, and then from Walnut Hill, I applied to Indiana University and I got in, but then I decided not to go for the ballet program, so I moved right to New York, and I got the fellowship at Ailey after auditioning, and then from there I got my apprenticeship. Then I joined Ailey II, and then I ended up touring just around the world with them, which was great.
Wow.
Now let me ask you, what was your favorite piece to perform in the first company and why?
Oh, wow. Everybody says Revelations. That's the one piece, that when you get into the company and it's your first, yes, exactly. It's your first time on a stage and that curtain goes up and you're in, I've been buked and I've been scorned. That is the pinnacle of, reaching the Ailey. That's one of my favorites always. And it also ties in with my faith background. So it was just being able to worship God in that piece is was a blessing. And then I love Ron Brown's work, so I got to do Grace. I was
Whoa.
the year after it premiered. I saw Asha Thomas do the lead role when it premiered, and I was like, oh my gosh, I want to do that. Wow. And then when I got in the year after and I was able to do it, it was so much fun. I love his work. So those were my top two.
Oh wow, both very beautiful pieces, and of course, I love performing Revelations. I think it's just such a great ballet, and it's so it's simple, but it's magical. And I think every time you perform it, it's a new experience. It never felt old or stale. It's such a fresh piece that keeps getting more and more exciting, even seeing it as an audience member.
Definitely.
And I guess my next question for you, Rosalyn, is how are you now? I mean, you have so much experience. I mean, you went to Juilliard and you danced in the first company, second company, and Ailey. And how are you, I guess, navigating through New Orleans dance community with all that experience? You know, in New Orleans, it's developing, right, in the dance community. So how are you bringing that, if not navigating through the New Orleans dance community with that experience?
Yeah, currently, I'm not dancing anymore. I retired from the Ailey Company in 2011. So my body was shot. I was like, I can't do this anymore. So I actually moved to Miami and taught dance there. I taught at the New World School of the Arts for a while. Then I also taught at the Thomas Armour Youth Ballet. So I did that for 8 years. And moving back to New Orleans, I've only been here 2 years, which is really strange to say. It feels like longer, and 2020 feels like longer. Yes, but when I got back, I will say that I was really shocked at how there wasn't a lot of dance, and that kind of made me sad. But what I did find was really awesome communities of dance. Whether they were, separate entities and companies, they all came together. So the dance community down here, even though it's smaller than what I'm used to, being from New York and Miami, it is really strong, like close knit. So that I found really encouraging. So I was working with Dancing Grounds for a little bit. I was at the UNO. I was in their arts administration program. I didn't finish that. I went into administration work at NOVA, and 2020 has been one of those years where I needed to take a break. So right now I'm just kind of rebalancing my life after 2020. So kind of taking a break, but I'm still involved with what NOVA's doing. Even though things are a little bit on hold with everybody everywhere, with what Dancing Grounds is doing, with what Marini is doing, all these places. So as this year is gonna be hopefully an opening, a reawakening of the arts as we come back after this pandemic, I hope to be a little bit more involved in what's going on. But I'm really, like I said, I enjoy and I'm impressed that the dance community is close knit and everybody seems to be working with each other, not just dance, but theater arts in general.
Yeah,
but,
the New Orleans dance community it's something special. I think it's small, but I think it allows for a lot of opportunity when it's small like that, right? Because now,
everybody knows everybody.
Everybody knows everyone, and everyone is on that mission of making it more innovative, making it more accessible to people of all economic backgrounds. And I, coming from New York, it was kind of like, wow, this is nice. It was almost refreshing to get a sense of that community in New Orleans, and not always be so competitive or, I guess the product of dance and more of the feel of dance, and what it does for you, so that the dance can be more of a tool and a vessel for wherever you navigate versus just being a principal dancer, right? And I love that about New Orleans. I think, dance is almost like church here for a lot of people. It's something that really does make them, just like at Ailey, right? And that's what I liked. I saw the connections there. And so and at Ailey, that was the feeling. It felt like you were in this like almost like a HBCU fraternity, and because you're just surrounded by Black excellence in this big glass building, and you're blown away by the community. And even though New Orleans doesn't have the funding, that feel still sometimes feel there, especially at dancing grounds. That sense of community, that sense of we're here for each other, and we're all different body types. We're all different, species who are trying to navigate through this New Orleans dance. So yeah, I applaud you for coming back, because, so many people say, oh, I'm done with New Orleans. I'm moving on to better things.
I had to come home. I had to
Yeah.
come home. NOLA is my home. I do want to ask you a question. You mentioned being in the city and being at Ailey as part of kind of like a fraternity, like the So can you speak more to your experience moving from NOLA, from New Orleans into New York City as a young person?
Yeah.
And what that might have been like?
Being a teacher now at NOCA and having all these high school students, and now, seeing young girls auditioning for far places, and it also just being an older person, the experience, you should audition for New York and the school, right? Because New York is a whole different beast and a whole nother beast. So when you get there, just paying rent, the subways, the chaos of it all, the amount of people, right? And I don't mean the amount of people overwhelmed, but the amount of people that can pull you so many ways, right? So many people see this kid from the South and they're just like, hey, you're completely ignorant to everything. Let me show you, And so just trying to hold on to myself, right? Hold on to my New Orleans background while pursuing this career in New York. And that was difficult for me because I did felt like I was pulled a lot of places. But what was great is that Ailey, it was like if New York was pulling me, Ailey was keeping me stable. So I'm thankful that I was at the Ailey School, especially being in New York, because the teachers are coming around. Did you eat anything? You look like you're tired. Do you know how to get around? Do you know how to do this? And so that community was what I needed. And I remember being in the hallway just crying because I felt so out of place, or I felt overwhelmed, right? Because even though it was a home, you still had all these intense dancers around you that wanted to get into the first company or second company. And that competitiveness can wear you down. And what's great about it is that there was a lot of teachers always checking in on you. And honestly, that has influenced me the way I teach. And I'm always realizing it's technique right? It's teach them this but also you're a human first. So New York is a tough city. And I think, especially being from the South, you really have to consider auditioning for the city and the school. And I mean, just preparing yourself for what New York is like. The biggest thing was the rent, right? Just not being in the BFA program where I get dormitories, et cetera. Paying that rent every month while trying to be a scholarship student at the Ailey School. Thankfully, the Ailey School, when I was there, we were all complaining, so they got the housing stipend. And so Ailey is one of those organizations that are really trying to cater to the students in the building, not just for dance, but also for their holistic life experience in New York. So I'm thankful for going through my New York experience at Ailey.
Wow. That's really, really interesting.
And let me ask you this, what was your favorite moment on tour? I'm just curious, like a most memorable moment, because, you go to so many countries, right? France, Germany, is there a moment that stood out the most to you and that you will never take for granted and cherish dear to your heart?
Oh, wow. There are so many. I think my favorite place that I love to go, I think during my time I went maybe 3 or 4 times, was Athens, Greece. We danced, and please forgive me, I can't remember the name of the theater, but it was an outdoor theater. It's like 3,000 years old. All that was left were the stone arches.
Wow.
The backstage area was a little updated, but you could still tell that you were in an ancient ruin of this theater. We were up on the Parthenon.
Oh, wow.
You could see all of Greece. It was amazing.
Oh.
And we got to do Grace, one of my favorite pieces. Obviously, we did Revelations. We did Revelations almost every evening while we were on tour in Europe. But just being in that space where there's stone seats that have been there for thousands of years and people are
Right.
sitting outside and you're just dancing outdoors. The weather was beautiful. I think that is always a picture in my mind whenever
Right.
I remember a memorable moment.
See, and it's those moments that, isn't Instagram or social media, or, dance has become so on screen. But when you're on tour and traveling to these countries and seeing the theaters, meeting the locals, that makes it feel all worth it, right? For me, at least, especially for me, even with Ailey II, we went to Germany, France, Canada, Bulgaria, Luxembourg, Poland, and even in Italy, I was in Cremona, Piacenza, Modena, Udine. It was like, because we were Ailey II, we would go to the local cities. And because the first, y'all were going to, if you were in France, y'all were in Paris and we were in Beauvais, so we were always going to the local cities. And honestly, I love those moments. I think that's when I realized I don't just love dance. I love what dance does for me. It's really a tool investment. So it's so exciting to hear that. And that sounds amazing. Like, she's
Yeah.
right there with you.
Yeah, one of the things I always tell people, it was the best time of my life during that season. I mean, I got paid to see the world, literally to see the world. And that does, coming from New Orleans, which is a major city, but still, it's in the
Still.
South. It's one city in America. When you get out and you experience different cultures, different people from different backgrounds, all these different languages, you get to see the world. It really broadens your horizons. And then when you bring it back to where you came from, to share those experiences with the students that I had, working with NOBO, working with Dancing Grounds, anybody that I spoke to, I could just, kind of explain those experiences. And you're like, wow, when the young kids hear that they can do something like that, it really warms my heart.
Yeah, Dancing Grounds is an incredible organization. I got a chance to work with some of the kids where I created work at the New Orleans Museum of Art, and I had a chance to work with a group of the kids, and they're just such a joy to work with because they're not just good dancers, but they're woke, right? Dancing Grounds also develops the mind just as much as the technique, and I love that because now you're getting kids that are asking the right questions. And I found that the Dancing Ground kids are coming. So, Edward, why'd you chose this? What's the significance in this? I couldn't give them anything without them saying, well, why did you do it? And I love that. I love that they're training kids to be that inquisitive about the arts. If not, question, why are you creating this art, right? Back in the day, teacher creates something. All right, I just do it. But now we got kids that are questioning, why am I even doing this art? And what purpose do I bring? So Dancing Grounds is doing a phenomenal job with getting kids to open their minds and fall in love with dance. And as someone from the McNamee Projects in New Orleans, you talk about seeing the world, like, yeah, we are from New Orleans where, the demographic wasn't always, you can do all these great things, especially with something as small, right, as dance, back then. And so I'm so appreciative of Ailey and how that company has inspired so many other companies. We were talking a little bit before about, it's not just Ailey anymore. It's now we got Collage Dance, we got Dallas Black Dance Theater, Dance Theater of Harlem. All these other organizations are coming up because of this monumental place, that it's almost like this big building created babies and now they're growing into adults, these companies. So I'm so thankful for the Ailey experience because you don't realize what it's doing until you are traveling, right? And you see a group of Black dancers get off a tour bus and into a theater where there's hardly any Black people and then perform and change the minds of this whole town, right? Of like, whoa, we didn't even know this existed. And so I think Ailey is a special place in my heart. And I really and truly want to follow their way always. And I think, now there were bad experiences. Rosalyn, let me ask you this. Was there anything that impacted you in not a negative way, but maybe it just made a difficult thing to do, or this was a challenge along with being with this gift, having this?
Right. Yeah, sure. Being being in the Ailey School, I did go to the Ailey School, I gosh, in the 90s or something like that. And I was in the old building before the brand new building
Oh,
was,
wow.
yeah, so it was really, and I think I mentioned this before in our previous conversations, that it was nice that everybody was on the same level. I know that the company was maybe on another floor, but they always took dance classes with the school. So, and then the all the classes had windows. They were all on the same level. Everybody could go in, see each other. So it was a mixture of the company and the students, the Ailey students, together. In the new building, it was more of a separation. When we moved from the old building to the new one, it was a little bit more separation. So that was a little hard, and I felt sometimes I felt weird because students weren't allowed on the 5th floor, and I was like, but it's nice when the students can see what's possible. So that was kind of like a challenge, kind of a negative thing, but not so negative. I understand the purpose for doing that, but still, I felt like it was more of a community when the dancers, the company dancers, and the students were able to interact a little bit more. Also, one of the big challenges I found being in the first company is that we were a company of soloists. There was no core. So everyone was competing for the roles, and sometimes you didn't get the role that you wanted. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And sometimes that hurt. Sometimes that was a little humbling. There were many roles that I wanted to do, and I was just like, oh my gosh, I wish I could do that. But, there was another path for me, and I really enjoyed all the roles that I was able to do. So those could be a couple of things. And I did want to mention, one thing. It was really nice too. In the Ailey School, I got to work with George Faison. I mean, all these people that were coming up at the same time as Ailey was coming up. So we had all these experiences, and Dance Theater of Harlem was, just a train ride away. So all these different entities, I remember, I think her name was Melissa. I'm not sure what she's doing right now, but I saw her dance in the first building that we were in, the old building. I was like, oh my gosh, I want to be like her. And then I found out she got into, I think it was Dallas Black Dance, and I was like, oh my goodness.
Was she one of your favorite teachers, or what a favorite?
No,
dancer?
she was a student. She was a student at the time, and it was just so amazing that wow, she was able to get into this amazing, Black dance company. And I was like, wow, that's another option for me, just to be able to interact that way. And knowing that all these Black dance companies were maybe not funding, maybe wasn't as grand as it is for the Ailey organization, but they were still like Philadelphia. Oh my gosh.
Philadelphia, yeah.
Yes, I used to love watching their performances. When they came to Lincoln Center one time, it was just amazing. So all these opportunities, all these things that I saw as a student at the Ailey School, I was like, okay, I can go there, I can go there, I can go there. It's not, Ailey is the path, yes, but there's also these other things.
Yeah,
and I was really, really impressed.
Yeah, and it's great you said that, because it's true. Ailey, for me, because I didn't do the first company, I only did Ailey II, and when you're young, you think, oh, it's the end of the world. I didn't get into first company. I worked my butt off. Because, Ailey II, you're fighting during that tour to get noticed, to be selected to be in a first company. So, and you're a group of 12 dancers, and you're younger. So, younger minds, younger energy, so that was hard and challenging. But I didn't know until now that Ailey was going to set me up for the rest of my life. And it wasn't just the dance job that I was going to get in the building in New York. It was the skills and the tool sets that they trained me to do. And so, and I remember I talked to Tracy Inman, the director at Ailey School, along with Melanie Person. I didn't speak to her, but I talked to him, and he, and I just told him, I said, thank you. You you didn't just train me to dance. You trained me to get a job. And that job didn't have to just be in dance. The organization, there's like 6 floors, right, in the glass building. And every floor has a purpose, and there's one giant floor for marketing and for the school. And as a scholarship student, you work in those offices for your scholarship, and you know, it's not gut work. You're learning about marketing, you're learning about the behind the scenes of dance. And to learn the behind the scenes of dance at an organization like Ailey is incredible, because then you see how a big corporation like that is ran. But yeah, you're right. You know, there was this desire to go to the 6th floor and 5th floor always. But for me, it translated to, God, I can't wait till I'm on that 5th floor and 6th floor. I can't wait, you know, because if I can go back in time, it will be my Horton 4 class. And being in that class with the live musicians drumming and every dancer sweating and working their butt off to get noticed. And I think, you know, everything glass, even people on New York streets can see you dancing. And I love that. I love that the class was a performance. And even though it's 8:30 in the morning, you're like, all right, I am here at Ailey trying to get a job. And I miss that energy. You know, there's nothing like it. It's competitive, it's artistic. And, you know, I had one teacher, you know, always say, you know, don't prove, share. So you're trying to not only just be technically efficient, but you're trying to give that thing that your favorite dancers on the 5th and 6th floor are giving. And you're trying to, you know what I mean? So I kind of in turns like, I gotta get there. But I get, if you've been in a more community environment, the old school, you're like, well, this is not, you know, and there's a lot of that, right? I remember talking to a lot of dancers being like, oh, this is changing now, this is different, you know? And I get it, you know, and even Denise Jefferson, right? I was fortunate enough for her to select me to be in the school. I even got to, when I was auditioning, Obama was being inaugurated into the White House. So I got to sit with Denise Jefferson in the theater while auditioning, interviewing, before I even got in school, and watch the inauguration of Obama with Denise Jefferson sitting right. And it was, I didn't realize at the time, but that was when the miracle of being at Ailey started for me. It was right in the interview process. When she stopped the interview, she literally, we were talking like this. She stops the interview and said, Obama's about to be inaugurated. We got to go to the theater and sit and watch. So, and I walk with her. And so, you know, rest her spirit. But I think the Ailey Institute is a formula or should be the formula for a lot of people. And it's leading with community, and it's keeping integrity in dance, right? Because even at the Ailey School, you learn Lamone, Graham, Horton, Taylor, Merce Cunningham, ballet, conditioning. You're learning music notation. You're learning all these classes in dance. And when you're around an organization, an institution where you have all these teachers that are so experienced and so rich in the sense of what they have to give you, there's nothing like it. And you leave there, if you don't get into Ailey II or the first company, you're going to leave there with tools that are going to help you no matter where you go. And I wish I would have known that when I was a student.
Yeah. Sometimes when we're that young, we don't realize the wealth and the blessings that are all around us, because we're so focused on what our idea of the perfect whatever is. Sometimes that can be lost. And I was there for a long time in the first company, and because the workload was huge, and sometimes you were just in rehearsal, do the performance, you're on to the next city. I always think back, like, I wish I had more time to explore, or the mornings where you've done 2 performances the day before and you're like, I need to sleep in, but I really want to get up and explore the city. Just thinking back, sometimes I want to go back to those places when the world opens up again. That is one of my dreams, to go back to those places. And, you know, just to recognize, now that I'm older and I'm thinking back on my time at Ailey, just how much of a blessing it was to be able to experience the world, experience these amazing dancers. I mean, I'm dancing with Hope, I'm dancing with Glenn Sims, Linda Sims, Matthew Rushing. I mean, all these people are just so amazing. Just thinking back, and the legacy that continues to this day. I mean, it was, I think we celebrated the 50th anniversary when I was in the company, which was awesome. And then I think they just did their 60th anniversary. If I'm not,
and I think they did it online. I watched it. It was beautifully done. I think Preston, who directed this.
Yes, there we go.
You have beautiful bringing Revelations into virtual. It was amazing,
Yeah,
well done.
beautiful.
And that's the stuff I love about Ailey. I knew they were going to figure out an innovative way to still showcase the work. And so it just, even from like a business standpoint, and it's just amazing to watch how they still tackle,
How they
keep going forward.
transform
Yeah.
and move forward with what the
Yeah.
times are doing. Yep,
And they
definitely.
always move forward while bringing the people that they inspire. And I
Exactly.
love that they
Exactly.
keep it in-house. And so I'm happy to say that I'm a proud member of the Ailey family. I call it Aliens.
Right, right. I always remember when we were doing hymn, I was doing Judith Jamison's hymn, and she would always say, dance came from the people and it should be given back to the people. She would always quote
That's Ailey
that
School.
that quote from Ailey. Like, you have to remember that it's not just about you being the diva and you being,
Mm-hmm.
getting whatever part you want or showing off. It's about reflecting the human spirit
Mm-hmm.
to the people who watch. Because all the performances that I've done and going backstage and all the people who were like, oh my gosh, that just touched my heart. They don't know anything about dance. They don't know about a pointed foot. They don't care how high your leg is, but at least you made them feel something.
Mm-hmm.
So to know that the Ailey Company and being a part of that for however long I was supposed to be there is just amazing to know that people were really touched and continue to be touched by what the company does.
Yes, ma'am. And I always, when I think of Revelations and I think of Ailey, I want, how do we keep the legacy going, but also creating more opportunity that's just like it, right? Because there is Philadelphia, there is DTH, there is Collage Dance, and there is, all these other companies. But, in New Orleans now, going back to New Orleans, we have KM Dance Project that's ran by Keisha McKee.
Right.
And, that's the closest I've gotten to feeling that Ailey presence in New Orleans. And it's her presence, right? It's not the Ailey presence, it's her presence. But it's that community, and it's that modern, it's this creating for dance and to create to inspire, if not create to reflect the times, is the company that now that I'm in New Orleans is wanting to be a part of the same idea. And KM Dance Project One, do you know of any other companies in New Orleans that you think have that same presence as Ailey that people could know about in New Orleans in the city to join? I know KM Dance Project is one if someone's looking for something that is of that nature.
Right now, I don't. Like I said, I've only been here 2 years, and 2020 I don't even count as a year because all of the things that have happened. So coming back to the city, I've had to relearn because I'm coming back into a post-Katrina city.
Right.
So everything that I knew before is not there.
We're gonna have
or
to
has been shifted. Has been shifted. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I'm having to relearn the city. I'm having to relearn the whole dance scene. I went to NOCA in the 90s. I knew about NOVA, but not on the scale that I know about it now, having worked with the organization. I knew about New Orleans Dance Academy. So again, I'm relearning. You probably know more because you're more involved in the dance field, boots on the ground every day when I am not. So KM I know about. I actually went to NOCA when Keisha was there. She was she was like the senior, and I think I was a freshman. Yeah. So it's been really nice reconnecting with her as well. So yeah, you probably know more about the whole dance scene in NOLA than I do.
Well, yeah, I came back from New York. It's been 5 years, and diving into the community. So far, if people, people on the outside of New York are looking for companies in New Orleans, there's KM Dance Project, which is a modern-based dance company. There's New Orleans Ballet Theater, which is a very heavy ballet company. And there's Melange Dance Company, which is a very contemporary, almost very floor work and kind of Limone-esque company. And then there's Marini Opera Ballet, which is a company I've been dancing for the past 5 years. And it's very contemporary, almost art house theater meets contemporary and some ballet. And then there's the New Orleans Opera, which is organization for opera singers, of course, but they also sometimes use dancers. Those are the 5 companies that I have seen consistently providing work and consistently giving people chances to dance. There's also a great group called Artivism that is located on Oak Street. It's not a company, but it's a group of people that also love contemporary dance. And then there's Dancing Grounds, of course, which is great. And it's not a big company, but it's a community of people that can help you access jobs. And I just want to, for the New Orleans dance community sake, throw out those companies for people who might be interested. But this is amazing to talk to you, Rosalyn Sanders, because you're a principal in my mind and you're a star in my head, and you're someone that has inspired me, because even though I hadn't seen you till now, you were always Rosalyn Sanders from New Orleans, Edward. She did it, you can do it, and so representation matters, and it's not just in skin color, but it's also in your demographic and where you come from, and because it's all about what you're exposed to and how you deal with that exposure and what it does for you. And so just having you be in the first company and people even just saying your name and telling me about you inspired me and made me think I have a place here. So thank you for that. And thank you for your constant work that you do and your constant seek for knowledge to bring back to the city. I think you've only been for 2 years, but I can't wait to see what you do in this time frame or in the future of while you're here in New Orleans. But it's a pleasure and it's an honor, and I can't wait to actually sit and talk.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing. I mean, your smile is just so infectious, and I'm so happy to be able to actually meet you virtually. Even though when I moved back, everybody was like, "You got to meet Edward. Have you met Edward?" Like everybody that I talked to, yes, exactly. They're like, he was with Ailey II. You got to meet him. I think he's still here. I ran into Nikki a couple of times, and she was like, "You gotta meet Edward."
Nikki, I love her. Oh, and the New Orleans School of Ballet. Before I forget, New Orleans School of Ballet is a great Black-owned ballet studio. New Orleans School of Ballet. It's even had SAB come and teach there. It was just showcased at one point on Disney Plus. Nikki Hefko is an incredible woman who danced with Dancer of Harlem and now has opened a ballet school in New Orleans that is really groundbreaking and really transforming, how she's teaching and going to New York City Ballet and getting more education and bringing it all back to New Orleans. She is a great woman. I just want to make sure I point out Nikki Hefko. And so phenomenal, and I've been thankful for the job she's given me, and it's been a pleasure working there as well. But Nikki she's great.
Yeah, she did mention you. So like you said, I am just really thrilled to be able to meet you virtually, but hopefully face to face really soon. And I'm so proud of you as a young person. I say young person because you're younger than me. You may not be like in your teens, but I know. Just bringing what you do as an artist, as a dancer, as a Black male to dance, because for us it's not always accepted, and especially for Black men. So for you to be doing what you're doing, I just want to say that I'm so proud of you. And I so appreciate, and just keep doing what you're doing, with all the love and passion and compassion for our fellow dancers and our fellow human beings, because it goes beyond just the dance. It goes to the human spirit, as Juice Jamison always said, to the human spirit. So I'm just so thrilled to be able to have this time to talk to you. I also, again, want to thank the New Orleans Film Festival and Dancing Grounds for this opportunity. And hopefully you guys will enjoy this film.
Thank you, Rosalyn Sanders.
Thank you so much, Edward. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
We'll talk soon.
Talk soon. Bye.
Bye.